Can you enjoy Thanksgiving dinner without the holiday hassles? Better believe it. The Pilgrim Sub is back at Get-Go Cafe and Market. Come and taste why it's our best-selling sub of all time. This holiday feast starts with our fresh-baked secret recipe stuffing bread. Then we load it with juicy roasted turkey, melted Wisconsin white cheddar, savory gravy, and if you like, house-made cranberry sauce. Don't wait for Turkey Day to chow down on this tasty tradition. The Pilgrim Sub is only here for a limited time. Get-Go Cafe and Market. Better believe it.
Blog Talk Radio.
Do you ever stop to wonder if people really knew the truth about what was going on in the world, if they would be any different? Because quite frankly, normal abandoned me a long time ago. My name is Dakota Frandsen. I am the specialist of the strange and fucked up. You'll never see the world the same way once you stick with me. Nothing is off limits. And you'll never know what world I'll be coming from for each episode. Listen in. And wait for your world to be changed forever.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dakota Frandsen, and welcome to part 2 of Real Supernatural Tales. I know I said I was going to try and make it a 2-part episode. I said I was going to come back in a couple minutes, and I couldn't, and I tried to do it at midnight, but I fell asleep. So I'm making up for it right now. So on our previous episode, we got through some questions submitted by you. We went through a story submitted by you all, and I have some more. Goodies for you. So without further ado, my boom, my boom, yeah. Without further ado, let's get it on. Making my mark again. Let's get it on. I feel so alive. Okay. All righty. The next question we have available. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? The next question comes from a user, and this was actually asked by a local news reporter. So, here's the question. What would potential clients look for to decide if they needed your help with a potentially paranormal problem? A news reporter came to me a long time ago, just a couple days ago, not a long time ago, asking me something along those lines in order to help with a column that she was working on. Someone apparently had asked her how to get involved with paranormal teams, and she was looking for some help. So they naturally came to me, because apparently I am the local authority on paranormal phenomena. Okie dokie. Now, this is actually what I told the columnist. Is that I told her that potential clients can often be split into 3 categories into what motivates them to seek paranormal assistance. The first category I like to call the curious mind. Essentially, these people who have watched some of the many shows that are out there depicting paranormal phenomenon, and they're just curious. They haven't really experienced anything themselves, so that they found it interesting, and they just want to sit down and ask a few questions and maybe tag along on a ghost hunt if the opportunity came to them. Now, I get these types of people all the time, and if you have questions, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to sit down with you. The second group I usually like to use the term, the label, I call the tell me I'm not crazy. This group, which I technically could qualify in when I first started this gig. Now, people that usually fit under this grouping are people that have actually witnessed something that they speculate could be paranormal, and they just want somebody out there to either give whatever event happened a logical explanation, to simply write it off and say, okay, you're not crazy, but this is what happened. This is what happened. You're not necessarily crazy. It is weird. Or they want someone. Now, this can often lead to a lot more questions, which makes them technically part of the curious mind group. But they either want someone to tell them, they aren't crazy. This is actually what's happened, or like, yeah, this stuff, or they want someone to tell them that yes, this stuff is real. What they saw was in fact something spooky, and that they aren't necessarily going insane. Dealing with this stuff a long time can potentially make you insane, but that's a whole nother subject. Now, the 13th, not the 13th, my goodness, I really need to slow down my thoughts. The third group I like to refer to as the 15-minute herbs. These people are individuals or groups sometimes who have the sole intention of trying to gain some sort of fame from alleged paranormal phenomena. When the shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Avengers came into major popularity, there were a lot, and I mean a lot of people that took this route, who thought that because so many paranormal reality shows are popping up, that if they either start their own team, they'll get featured, or if they somehow manage to make have a haunted house or a haunted business, that they can use that to get to reel in more customers. I was recently, in fact, one city that comes to mind right away is, and probably this is just because I was chatting with one of my very good friends that I met on this trip. But one of the cities that really comes to mind when it comes to this type of thing is Edinburgh, Scotland. And granted, the place is really old, and just about everywhere you turn, even when it's out of season, there are some sort of ghost tours or witches, wizards. That is more along the lines because that is where the Harry Potter series was inspired, but it still fits under the category. Now, unfortunately, I have had a problem, and I know that a few other groups that are still active today have had problems with this third group because so many networks actually try to reach out to me for consultations on shows they're trying to put together. Either they're asking me if I have any stories or if I would help out. And if that is the case, if they genuinely want my help, I'll be more than happy to tag along with their issue, with the show they're trying to get together, because there's some stuff that I want. There's some ventures that I want to look into. They'll be able to help. So basically, it's one of those situations where I scratch your back, you scratch my back. And I also notice that a lot of groups tend to have this more often if their website states they are affiliate members of the teams from Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures. I myself, when my sole focus was investigations, I actually tried to get involved with the affiliate programs. And according to rumors, one of those groups was actually watching my material. They said they were rather impressed. Apparently, they had hosted a speaking event, and I still wish I could have been there. But apparently, a friend of mine mentioned something along these lines, that they attended, and they said apparently someone in the audience asked them if there was any groups in the area that they would consider potentially working with, and apparently they didn't say exactly me, so this could be my own imagination, but apparently they said that there was a young group who had reached out to them at some point to try to get their opinions on stuff, and they said they were really impressed and they wanted to see how this group would evolve. Now, a little known fact about how I got my start. When I got my very first paranormal investigation, I got my very first case, I actually caught some stuff. And if you follow my social media pages, I'm going to try to try to pull that video from my old YouTube channel. And I tried to go on their social media pages and say, hey, I'm just getting started in the paranormal. I would really like if I can get your opinion on this. And the reason why I did that was this was before Facebook really got picky, number one. Number two, when I first got started, what I used to do is I actually used to watch these shows just to try to get ideas on the types of gear, how to pursue clients, maybe how to design my own website. Basically, I watched these guys to try to get an idea of what I should do. Then as I went along, as I grew and I developed my methods, I would tweak it to better suit my needs. So I don't know if they're still watching. I did kind of have to go away due to some personal issues that came up. But if y'all still watching, if y'all still see my stuff, I'd be more than happy to tag along to collaborate if you're ever in the area. So the offer's out there. Let me know. All right. Let's move on to the next question before I ramble on too much. Next question. I like this one because there is a lot of discussion, a lot of debate on the subject. But this person asks, what are your thoughts on the show Ancient Aliens? For those of you who don't know, the show Ancient Aliens, basically, it is on History Channel. Excuse me. And the idea behind it is to discuss ideas that the ancient god and goddesses, ancient civilizations, may have either had connections to extraterrestrial visitors, or maybe some of their pharaohs, like in Egypt, some of their leaders, or some of the gods that they mentioned, were in fact extraterrestrials. Now, to be honest, I think this is a rather interesting concept. It was started roughly, I have to say, back in the 70s by a man by the name of Eric von Daniken. I actually have a couple of his books, and I think it's a really interesting concept. I will admit, and a lot of major historians who do try to shut down the premise behind the show can agree on this, that a lot of what happened back in the day, a lot of what ancient civilizations were like, can still be put up to debate, and we cannot 100% be sure that this and this is what happened, or this and this is what happened, unless we had somehow built a time machine and gone back in time, or somehow managed to find somebody who would live that long. It's highly unlikely either one is the case with the current standing of technology now, but we shall see. Now, there are several groups who, theologians, who try to collaborate, and there have been several concepts from various religious texts, too many to go through in detail right now, but there are actually several concepts through many historical texts that we have actually been able to replicate today. There have been structures and there have been artifacts that have awfully, quote-unquote, modern designs to them, like gliders from South American cultures. I can't remember what culture it was off the top of my head, but there was this little artifact. It was supposed to be a bird, but the dimensions of it was supposed to be a bird, but if you look at this thing, it looks like a little toy airplane. And what's fascinating about this is that they simply blew up the scale of this item. They didn't, basically, they blew it up, not kaboom, but they blew up the size, the scale. All they did to it was give it a motor and a front propeller, because there wasn't even a little gap that looked like that could have been some sort of engine right there. All they did was give it a motor. They gave it an engine, and they maybe even strapped on a couple of wheels to it, and this artifact was actually able to fly. God damn it. I was done with this. Anyway, sorry about that. So, while I will agree that a lot of the newer episodes especially, the show itself tends to bounce back on several of the same ideas to try to emphasize their point. They basically repeat it over and over again. And they're taking advantage of the fact that there are so many gaps within ancient history that cannot and may not ever be fully explained. I will give the skeptics of the show that much. However, there is enough to say that maybe, just maybe, there's something here. Now, is it extraterrestrial? Did extraterrestrials get involved directly? Maybe. You never know. There could be all sorts of weird shit out there that we just don't know. And of course, there's a lot more debate on that, but we'll see what happens. I have another story here that I thought was rather interesting. That person was kind enough to share. And this person says, when I was a little girl, my family and I used to live in an old haunted house. It wasn't anything negative like out of the old horror movies. But what we found out, that it was the spirit of an older woman who had actually passed away in the house a few years before we moved in. She was always really friendly. At night, we could hear her humming simple songs. She seemed to always try to sing me and my little sister to sleep. And sometimes she would even try to help us find lost things around the house, things we lost around the house. At the time, we actually got help from a local ghost hunting team, and this was way before the internet and stuff like this was very word of mouth. But we actually got help from a local ghost hunting team to better understand her and figure out ways we could actually talk to her. She became like the invisible, funny grandma for the family. Well, one night, my parents thought they heard her on my little sister's baby monitor saying what sounded like, "Baby is not breathing." They ran down to check on her, and my sister was actually not breathing. We spent the rest of the night and most of the next morning in the hospital waiting to find out what was going on. But the doctors were able to save my sister. The nurses said that it was likely that if we waited any long, she might have not made it. My parents were actually so tired, they accidentally let it slip that the ghost who lives with us told them to hurry and save my little sister. The nurse just laughed and said it wasn't the first time she heard something like that. I can actually verify that from my friends who are registered nurses that this happens. That there are some strange circumstances where people believe that the ghost that lives inside their house told them to go check on the baby, something was wrong with the baby, and the ghosts were actually able to save their life. I know I mentioned on yesterday's episode that about the car accident and stuff like that happens too, where the person isn't so always as lucky to be able to save their friend. But stuff like this, in fact, does happen, and I just thought it was really fascinating to talk about. Here's a next. All right, let's move on to the next question. I know I'm kind of jumping around here. But here's the next question. I heard somewhere that out of every 100 cases of ghosts, only about 5% of them actually have something real. Is that true? I'm actually going to have to say yes. It is true. If I remember correctly, it was Grant Wilson from the sci-fi shows Ghost Hunters who's actually quoted with saying this. He's no longer on the show, but he does attend a lot of paranormal events. Grant, if you happen to be listening, hey, what's up? But I actually have to say that these numbers are actually very generous. If I had to put it, in my experience, out of every 100 cases claims of ghosts, only about 1% of them have something real, and even that is a generous estimation. Truth is, it's hard to say, being that the paranormal research is often considered fringe or pseudoscience. There's a lot that can be up to speculation, and there's a lot that is actually tainted by public BS, and so on and so forth. It's hard to say for sure. But I also remember a quote by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I like to quote this a lot when trying to say, when I try to tell people, hey, don't shoot down the concept right away, because there's a lot more that we don't know about. I believe it was Neil deGrasse Tyson that actually said that if we had to put numbers to how much of the known universe we have uncovered and cataloged, so on and so forth, how much of the known universe we have actually been able to catalog, very generously, is only 1% of everything that is out in the cosmos. We do not know, and that is why science and even paranormal research is so amazing, because the more we find out, the more we realize there's a lot more to it. So, in a way, to answer your question, yes, it's true, but it's slightly more complicated than it seems. All right, next question. What are your thoughts on alien abduction? I tried to contact this person to see if there was anything in particular that they were wondering about alien abduction, whether or not if I believe the stories were true, or if they were wondering what maybe the science was about it. Now, going with usual questions that come first off, do I believe alien abductions are happening? This kind of ties back to the last question a bit, but do I believe that alien abductions could be happening? As much as the media makes it seem, no. There are a lot of psychological phenomenon that cause the brain to misconstrue weird stimuli and try to grasp it onto something familiar. And they believe, and a lot of more scientific-minded people say, oh, if the common picture that people get of an alien looked more like, then would it be more likely they would see bird-like aliens out there? Now, some of them report that there are blue-like aliens. There are big blue alien birds out there. But in this concept, I have to say that if you're asking if I think the stories are real, I think some of them hold some ground that something went down. However, the most I'm afraid I'm not going to get all the questions. My God. Most aren't real, but there are some that have some ground to them. Oh, man. All right. One more question. This person asks, I am interested in getting some ghost hunting equipment. Where do I look? Where do you recommend that I look? Well, here's the thing. You don't necessarily have to go to any special ghost store in order to get ghost hunting equipment. You can actually get some of the basics from your nearby Walmart. Or you can even use some of the ghost hunting apps. I can't go through all of them right now, but you can actually say if you're just wanting to catch EVPs, you can use any microphone apps that you have on your phone. But if you want to look for some of the gadgets that you may see on those ghost hunting shows with all the bells and whistles, I do actually recommend Ghost Stuff. And you can actually find a link to them in the blog post I have linked in the description to this episode. I recommend these guys because they have the best customer service. They also have the best selection out there. And where are they? If I remember correctly, they're actually based out of St. Cloud, Florida, and they have a physical store that if you happen to be in the area, you can check out yourself, or you can just check out their website. You can just go into the description, click on the links, the blog post link that I have on my website, and you can also just click on that link provided, and you can check them out there. You can also check out some of my other social media pages and some of our other partners, the other people we have partnered with, to bring you guys some really cool stuff. Trust me, there's a lot of really cool stuff out there. Some of it's paranormal related, some of it I thought it could be useful software for if you're a musician or you perhaps do a lot of audio developments. I'm working on a few more partnerships to try to get you guys some more cool discounts, stuff like that, so keep an eye out. All right, I'm going to take one more question before I close out this show. Like, in your opinion, all right, just checking how much time we have left, but in your opinion, what is the most accurate portrayal of paranormal on television? Try to ask this person if they meant if it was like certain ghost hunting show, or if they meant shows like CW Supernatural, stuff like that. I'd have to say that in the paranormal reality series, I'd have to give most realistic to the shows Ghost Hunters and Destination Truth if reruns are still going on Sci-Fi. I have to say, if you go for the more fictional stuff, I have to say the closest, and this is because they actually try to do a lot of research on this stuff, but they do also take a lot of liberties. The show Supernatural actually does get quite a few things right. Don't have enough time to really go into detail, but shut up, you voice. Sorry, I have a voice that tells me when I'm running out of time. So anyway, that is our show. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to look out for more episodes. I can't exactly when the next episode is going to be airing because I'm going to be out of town next week to take care of some work. Be sure to check out the link in the description to a blog post. I added some of our partners. You can also check out my website, Facebook, Twitter. Like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever. Check it out, all of our stuff on social media. Yeah. And check out my website. All sorts of cool stuff coming together. Be on the lookout. I love you all. Thank you for listening. Be on the lookout for more episodes like this. Might actually start doing more episodes, a lot like Supernatural Adventure, where I actually go into various supernatural topics, discuss what may be real behind them. Anyway, be on the lookout. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Can you enjoy Thanksgiving dinner without the holiday hassles? Better believe it. The Pilgrim Sub is back at Get Go Cafe and Market. Come and taste why it's our best-selling sub of all time. This holiday feast starts with our fresh-baked secret recipe stuffing bread. Then we load it with juicy roasted turkey, melted Wisconsin white cheddar, savory gravy, and if you like, house-made cranberry sauce. Don't wait for Turkey Day to chow down on this tasty tradition. The Pilgrim Sub is only here for a limited time. Get Go Cafe and Market. Better believe it.
Giant Eagle's Curbside Express is now free. Simply order your groceries online at curbsideexpress.com. Pick them up at Giant Eagle and pay no service fee. Plus, get discounted rates on home delivery. Save time and money when you let our trained personal shoppers do the shopping for you, now free of charge. Big convenience, bigger savings. Giant Eagle's Curbside Express. Limited time offer at select locations. $35 minimum order required and other restrictions may apply. Visit curbsideexpress.com for details.